ladies and gentlemen. It's Friday. I'm in Big D on a short family get-together. Just so happen to be in the same building as Dick Cheney right now. I'll tell that story briefly later. I pretty much already told it. Dick Cheney and more. Hunt Oil, you name it. George W. Bush. I got 5 presidents here in town right now. Speaking of somebody I wish was our president, Ron Paul is scheduled to be calling in any minute now to spend a half hour with us today, and I'm going to bring up a cornucopia of issues. And, you know, I have the guys come in and co-host even when I'm there because I enjoy their ideas and banter, and it's thought-provoking. But Jakari Jackson and David Knight are riding shotgun up there also in case we have any technical difficulties, because we are coming to you via the Internet right now. The wonders of the Internet. And we do have Congressman Ron Paul joining us today. Again, I'm on the road, so I have a couple of my InfoWars Nightly News reporters riding shotgun with us for the next 30 minutes. In case anything cuts out, they'll be able to ask the congressman, former congressman, questions. It's great to have you on with us today, sir.
Thank you, Alex. Good to be with you.
Wow, so much is happening. I want to get into your homeschooling curriculum. I hope to actually promote it later when you start that affiliate program. I think everybody should get involved in that. But before we go there, what do you make of Boston and that whole martial law spectacle that we saw?
Well, it's rather scary. You know me that I always try to look on the positive things and think things can't be quite as bad. But those pictures really concern me. You know, I mean, that is such a visual image when you see these thousands and thousands of troops, and they weren't your local friendly policemen that were involved. And it was accepted too easily. I mean, can you imagine all these people being locked? They became prisoners. And then the police, the military police, were allowed to march into any house anytime without a search warrant. It was martial law, you know. So I think it was very, very scary. Let's just hope it wakes up some people. But unfortunately, you still hear those, well, the government has to do something to make us safe. And I think that's where the big disconnect is what is the purpose of government? Is it to give us perfect safety and perfect economic security, or is it there to allow us to run our own lives and protect our liberties?
I want to expand on that because we're going to break here in a moment. This is our short segment. Again, former Congressman and Dr. Ron Paul joins us, very active in the defense of liberty. I want to expand again in the next segment on the Boston issue because some stations join us then, and I want to get your full take on that. But I mean, clearly, any excuse the power structure has to grab power, they do it, and it seems that appetite is getting more and more intense. Why do you think that's happening?
Well, the problems are getting bigger. They say that Congress isn't doing a job because they're broke, but it's the whole system that's broke. We're financially broke. But those individuals in Washington, their mentality is different than so many of people outside of Washington, because they've told me personally that they need to take care of people and they need to regulate people's lives because we can't trust it to themselves because they may hurt themselves or they may not take care of themselves. And I've asked them, I said, why is that the case? Well, they're too stupid and inferring we, the politicians, know what is best. I mean, that is a mental status that they have and they cling to. And then they don't do like, I'm Hitler and I'm going to take over, I'm going to take away liberties. I'm doing the Lord's work. I care about people. You've heard the liberals say that they care about people. We don't. But, of course, if you really care about people, you'll protect liberty, and there'll be more production and more people taken care of instead of special interests taking over control of our government and the wrong people benefiting. But anyway, that's the mess that we have. It's continuing. So every time there's an opportunity, they think, well, if I enhance my power, I can do more good for the world. Although there's sinister reasons for us to be going about around the world, most of the people are complacent, and they just go along to get along, and they think, well, we got to go help those people. We got to get rid of that.
Absolutely. Congressman, Ron Paul's our guest. I want to expand and flesh that out when we come back because that is so central. Please stay with us. Ron Paul joins us.
I'm Darren McBreen, and these are some of the new items that are available now at InfoWarsShop.com. Alert the public to Obama's blatant abuse of power with the new Obama t-shirt. Obama's Joker face on the front and come and take it on the back. It's time to publicly call him out for what he is, a tyrant. Defend the Second Amendment with our top seller Come and Take It t-shirts. And look at that, women's cut tank tops and t-shirts now available. Nice hat. Plus the Don't Tread on Me flag. And now you can become a micro distributor of the InfoWars magazine. Plus, get your own copy delivered right to your door each and every month. And if you're tired like I am of you and your family being exposed to polluted drinking water, get the Pro One high performance water filter. It gets rid of all pathogenic bacteria, cyst, fluoride, heavy metals, and numerous other contaminants. So join the revolution at InfoWarsShop.com.
All right, I'm coming to you on the road up here in Dallas, Texas, visiting family, and Congressman Ron Paul joins us as well from Texas via the phone, and we have our reporters riding shotgun with us, and the former congressman is just popping in with a news and analysis update here with us today, and he's going to talk some about the homeschooling curriculum he's got coming out in September that is truly a revolutionary idea that I'm fully behind. But first off, sir, seeing the images of lockdown, saying it's a prison, overriding the Bill of Rights, that is martial law by definition, and now they're saying this is the new way in America, and we've got to have drones now, domestically, and that basically America is a battlefield. We've known this was coming along with the economic collapse that is centralization. What can you say about what Americans can do to reverse this, and your take on what you saw in Boston, former Congressman Ron Paul?
Well, I think what Boston has told me is a bigger issue and more difficult to reverse than I might have hoped. I'm always hopeful. I always want to be positive. I get a lot of people who understand and should do it. But to overcome the power of the Department of Homeland Security, I mean, it looks like they're going to have all the guns. At least they want to have all the guns. They're buying up all the ammunition, but of course they said they would never use it against American citizens. What in thunder are they doing? Then when you witness what went on in Boston, I mean, if this is not martial law, I don't know what martial law is going to look like. But the Constitution has been trampled. The American people have to stand up any way they know how to do it, by spreading messages, reading, studying, getting involved in politics. Ultimately, though, it's education. People have to understand why liberty provides the answers for us. But we have been conditioned probably for 30 or 40 years, and you hear it all the time from the president. Their job is to make us safe. One, the liberals say, we want you to make you economically safe and secure, and nobody falls through the cracks, and we're going to take care of everybody. But then others say we want to make you physically safe, and governments aren't supposed to do that. Governments are supposed to protect our liberties. Once they decide they're going to make us safe, economically and physically safe, they can only do this by taking away our liberties, and that's where we are. We seek safety rather than liberty, and we were warned about it, and I think we need to re-warn the American people, and they have to know what the goals are in order to establish their priorities.
Again, Dr. Ron Paul joins us. You talk about the bullets. You know, we broke that story. Drudge Report forced it into the mainstream media, and they said we're not buying bullets. And then they said, okay, we bought $1 billion, now it's $2 billion. And then they come out and say, it's a hoax that we're buying bullets, but we did buy bullets. So their lies, their denials have gotten like schizophrenic, where you're reading a headline and they testify, this is a hoax, but we did buy the bullets. And now she said before Congress today, Big Sis, that DHS denies ammo purchases aimed at civilians when the targets are of women and children on record, and the Army manuals say they're training to take on domestic groups. That first document we got 4 years ago said Ron Paul, veterans, gun owners, libertarians, conservatives, Aaron Russo, film owners. I mean, just bizarre. And now all that is mainlined. So what do you say about the intensified lying, or do you disagree? Or are they not intensifying their lies?
Well, they have the major medias on their side, so they paint us as paranoid. And this is our job, whether it's talk shows like yours or our internet programs or whatever we're doing. We have to reverse this whole idea that we are, paranoid and just imagining these things. When she gives us an inch and says, "Oh yeah, we did purchase them," they have to pound her and figure out, what are you going to do with them? What is the intent? How much money? You'd think Congress should have more of a backbone to stand up and demand this. That's their responsibility. But Congress goes along with it. They give up their prerogatives to the executive branch so easily. And if we don't do it, see, the people eventually have to do it. Members of Congress go along to get along. They've been doing that for years, so we only have a dozen or two up there that are trying. But what we need to do is wake up more and more people to hound their congressmen to say, find out why and what are they up to, because it's only information that they have that can wake the people up. If they don't get the information, they're going to be too complacent, and then it'll be too late. After Boston, I worry more on where we are. But then again, when I go to the college campuses, I get good responses. A lot of young people are saying, we know what you're talking about, and we don't like it, and we're going to be stuck with a big bill, and we don't have a job. So there's a receptive ear out there. So it's a battle. It's a battle for the hearts and minds of people to decide which they think is correct. Are they going to go along with the status quo and the Federal Reserve and the income tax system and government taking care of us and make us safe and secure? Or are we going to say it's time we defended our position that we want our freedoms back and just get the government out of the way?
Well, as you said earlier, government claims that it's here to help us, but everywhere government gets involved, it creates dependency and just wrecks society. We've sent our reporters out in Austin, but also in California, not just in Texas, and the most people sign petitions to confiscate all the guns, to not just ban carbon dioxide, but dihydrogen monoxide or water. And it seems like you've got two things happening. Either people are getting more awake, or they're getting even more dumbed down, and they're saying, hey, we're a democracy, a 51% vote to make the other 49 slaves, we're going to do it. But in a republic, that actually blocks them. But the federal government's moving forward like it's a democracy. They can do whatever they want. Do you see a collision, a clash of civilizations of informed, high IQ, productive, good people that haven't succumbed to cultural, collectivism and Marxism and globalism, versus the zombie hordes? I mean, this is getting bad, is my point.
Yeah. No, I think there will be this collision, mainly because our country is bankrupt. But also, there's more and more people waking up, which I think is very good, and that's beneficial. But the one thing, though, individuals like myself who want to look on the positive side of things, we shouldn't ever get so naive as to think that we're up against an enemy that's rather a soft enemy. The worse things get, the harder they'll work and the more they'll do to cling to power, under the pretense, of course, of always helping people.
Yeah, because they hate us.
They've been powerful because they've always been to get the moral high ground. We're doing good. We go over these countries. We want to get rid of bad dictators. Yes, we have deficits, but we take care of poor people. All of that. But now they're running out of money, and they can't do it, and they make these false promises. So the only thing left for them, since their promises aren't believed anymore, is they're going to use power, and that's why you see the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI invoking martial laws in a major city.
I agree.
So I think it'll get worse. I've always said it's going to get worse before it gets better, because we haven't even had the big economic crisis that I think is coming, and then you wonder how complacent the American people will be. So the more people we can alert to being prepared for this so they can handle some of the emergencies to get by, the better off we'll be. So we want everybody to be protected, as many as possible, so they don't have to depend on the government. But when the government's broke, they have very little to promise except our might to try to, restore order.
Absolutely. And so it's a sign of their weakness that they're trying to flex their muscles and use any excuse to take over and plant the flag of authoritarianism on our once great republic, because they understand and they're scared and they know they've mismanaged things. Now, shifting gears into a subject that so many callers, when they heard you were coming on the last few days, wanted me to ask you, just as a layman here and working with a gold and silver company like Midas Resources, they're having trouble getting the gold. It's being bought so quick. Places are sold out everywhere. The mint can't even make enough, but they're using paper money to drive down the price while elites are buying it as fast as they can. What do you make of what's happening with the war on gold?
Well, I think there is, and governments always have a war on gold because they want their paper to last as long as possible. They did that. How much gold do you think we dumped in the 50s and the 60s at $35 an ounce trying to prove that point? Markets, though, eventually win out. So I think that they very well could be involved in all this dumping of gold. You know, that one day when the gold prices went down so much, there were 53,000 contracts sold by one individual. I just wonder how close the Treasury Department was to that. But the market number that best tells you about this disconnect is the premium on the coin. So you and I might hear, oh, yeah, gold prices are crashing, and, well, maybe we ought to buy some more. So we go out. Evidently, there was more than just a couple of us doing that. Quite a few went out, so the premium goes up, which is natural. That's the way the market works. The price is not supposed to be going up because the price is so-called fixed by these traders in the paper market, but the premium is part of the price, and the price was, I don't know what the premium has done in the last day or two, but I know when the price of gold was going down rapidly, the premiums went up,
sure,
which meant there was
but that's like Nixon price fixing. Sure, but isn't it like Nixonian price fixing? I mean, sure, you can fix the price, but then you can't find, you know, the things that they fix the price on. What I'm saying is I'm getting reports everywhere that people, the shops, they can't get the gold, that there's a major shortage at this lower price. So doesn't that right there prove that the market is saying gold is really worth a lot more? And as you said, they can't suppress it forever. Shifting gears, what about Bitcoin? I've been leery day one because if this wasn't something globalists were involved in, they would have destroyed it. Now, they're not all powerful, but I just have a bad feeling.
Well, I don't know exactly what's going on there. I have deep reservations about it because my understanding of money is a little bit different than something that comes out of a computer, and I don't understand how it's calculated. I don't think anybody else does. But if we have a truly free society and people are doing this and they're not committing fraud, and it actually is it becomes a means of exchange, and people can transfer and measure things in a Bitcoin, you know, I'm not going to object to that. But I don't think that is the answer. I think money has to be something that has been established in the marketplace, and there's been a pretty good test on gold and silver, like thousands of years. So I'm very reluctant to get involved in even the Bitcoin. You know, it's going to be, when you make a sale or a purchase in Bitcoin, you have to, you know, do the mathematical change and figure, oh, how many dollars am I getting for this? But I hope it's a method where they're challenging, because that's been one of my positions, is that if we would just have a legal competition with the Federal Reserve in place, this would be helpful. But I'm thinking more along the lines of somebody who's out there using gold and silver as legal tender, as advocated under the Constitution. But you know what happens to people who do that? You can go to prison for that, and you're called a counterfeiter. But the Federal Reserve should be the ones that be held responsible for counterfeiting.
All right, I want to get into homeschooling and then let you get out of here. But last question before we get to that, I want to bring up Boston again, because the government locked down the city and then couldn't find the guy. And then as soon as they lifted the lockdown, which is totally illegal, then a citizen smoking a cigarette out back his house saw the guy was in the boat. I mean, this, you know, not only did it not protect us, you know, it's totally unconstitutional, but it's just all a giant fraud. What would you do? You know, down there where you live in South Texas on the coast, if they said, don't come out of your house today or we'll arrest you, or what would you do if you drove up and you know, they had your family with hands up? I mean, this is a big deal. They need to get in trouble. Do you have any ideas, as a constitutionalist and a pretty smart guy, how we could take action against this precedent-setting garbage?
That's a tough one, because they're the ones who are using violence illegally against the people. And to resist it, of course, that's armed conflict, and it's how much of a stomach do you have for the confrontation. But what we have to do is intellectually argue against and expose those people who have these lockdowns and having martial law declared. Because 3 people were killed, which was tragic. But what about every night? I think every day there's about 48 murders every day. Sometimes on a weekend there'll be 10 in one city. They never lock down a city. So
exactly.
This is unprecedented, very, very dangerous, and we have to expose them every chance we get.
Sure. I mean, they've had lone gunmen out all the time. You don't lock down a whole city. If they said, hey, please stay in your homes in this block, we think he's in one of your houses, that would be, you know, kind of a probable cause, at least, you know, something, reasonable suspicion. But, I mean, just you're all locked in your house, and now we're going to aim guns at you. I mean, little kids in yards, they aim guns at them. I can't wait to get you on in September, because this is a revolutionary idea to get out of the government training camp. Spend a few minutes, sir, in the time we've got left here, telling us the best websites to visit, where we should go to find out about this. Hopefully you'll get your site back soon, ronpaul.com. But what are the best sites to visit, and why have you launched this homeschooling initiative?
Of course, homeschooling is something I've been very sympathetic with for many, many years, more so every year, because I think the public educational system is deteriorating. I've talked about it before, but in Congress you can't really do a whole lot. Even 20, 30 years ago, I've often thought to myself, you know, it'd be neat to have a school when I'm out of Congress, but I always thought about brick-and-mortar school. But technology has changed, and all of a sudden, you know, there's a much bigger opportunity to have more students at a much cheaper price, have good education, have it, you know, where it's not very expensive. So I've had some help with this. Tom Woods and Gary North have been working with me on this, and they are great at teaching. And we're going to have math courses and science and history and English. And also, you know, the first six grades is going to be free. You can go and get on there after September and get education the first 6 grades for free. And then the later grades, there will be tuition charges. But the one other unique thing that we've come up with on this, where it's different, there are a lot of homeschooling programs, and they're not, you know, a lot of them are very decent, all but ours will be somewhat unique. But there's going to be a lot of interplay between students and self-teaching, and also it means that the cost will go down, because we're not going to have people buying books. They can if they want, but we want to keep the cost down. So if we have a course on the Constitution, it's going to be done by reading the Constitution and the Federalist Papers, and then having a teacher giving a lecture, and then the students writing. So it would be a little bit different approach. We think we can give everybody a better education at a much better price than anything that's out there right now.
And, again, what are the best sites other than Campaign for Liberty for people to visit right now to find everything, Ron Paul?
In particular, it's ronpaulcurriculum.com, and there's a preliminary course you can sign up for $25 to help you get into preparing for high school. But the curriculum really gets started in September. But there is a web page now, and it gives you some information, and it will keep you up to date on. There's a question and answer section on there where people call in.
Sure, my wife did it. We printed it off. It's excellent. Well, let me just say this, then I'll let you get out of here because you've got to go. When I first talked to you before you went live on air, we were talking about, promoting it and how important it is, and you were talking about how it's free for people through the first 6 grades, and then almost apologizing for selling it. Listen, we have gotten the Liberty Movement to fund each other and to vote with our dollars, and we'll take the economy back, as you know, through markets. It's time. The media attacks us, the establishment that lives off our tax money and corporate welfare, that you sell a book or I sell a film. Ladies and gentlemen, you either spend your money with websites like drudgereport.com, clicking on the sponsors, Ron Paul's sites, my sites, you spread the word about us, or we're done. Okay, this is war bonds. Ron Paul, he lives in a modest house, could sail off into the sunset. He's at 76 years old or whatever it is, fighting every day because he has a passion for liberty against the authoritarians. And this is a revolutionary act, taking our kids back from these scum. So, sir, I'm going to get behind your curriculum, and I salute you. When it comes out in September, everybody should buy it and give it to their family members if they won't buy it. Everybody should support this 110%, Congressman.
Wonderful. It's good being with you today.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, there he goes, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's bottom line. Bottom line. I'm ready to die for freedom, okay? I'm in the globalist face saying, I want you going down 110%. I'll tell you why I liked Oblivion so much, because that's what it's all about, that archetype of giving your life up for liberty. And I don't want to die. But you know what? I love liberty so much, I'm not afraid of them, even though I know how horrible they are. I know the things they could do. Every time I look at my children and know they could come after them, and they've threatened my family, I just look at them and I commit. And you know, I'm a slob on air half the time. I'm burnt out, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot unplug. I dream about this stuff. I can't play outside with my kids or go fishing. All I'm thinking about is news and the New World Order. And then I do so much research, I get on air and can't even talk about it all, because I just know too much. I mean, it's like the Gnarls Barkley song. I want to come back out of break with that, with our guests, because it's you know, I'm not crazy because I didn't know enough. It's because I knew too much. And I just was talking to Ron Paul during the break, and he's like, and yeah, you know, we're selling it because, you know, we have to pay for it and everything. And I was like, man, don't apologize that you're selling it. I mean, the globalists have taken over and control the issuance of currency and credit. Okay, we're doing this because we love liberty and want to be free. And then they create this idea, like he said, that they have the moral authority. They can sell stuff. They can make us give them our money to then use against us, and that's moral. And then Alex Jones, you know, whenever I had the Austin police chief in, he's like, oh, Alex Jones is selling stuff. Alex Jones has got a 50 caliber rifle. Yeah. And I'll sell my house and the little bit of real estate I've got and all my guns if I ever have to keep Infowars.com going. I will live in a rat-infested trailer before I ever stop spending my money on fighting the New World Order. But yeah, I like nice things. I like being comfortable. But that's not my God. You see, my God is liberty and is life and is freedom. That's why I take the money you give us by buying the great products we promote and hire more reporters and get better equipment and building studios. I have a dream to bring these people down. I'm a builder. I want to build things. I want to construct things. I want to build an architecture of freedom. I want to lead the way out of this with you right beside me and in front of me and behind me. I have a dream of liberty. I have a dream of freedom. I have a dream of my children not being slaves. And I am sick of the globalists having the moral high ground while they use our tax money against us, that we're not supposed to sell stuff. I skip this network commercial. You know how much money that costs the network? I can't, there's nothing they can do, because I just won't be on the network if they try to stop me. And it's bad that I do it. I don't even plug products here on air like I should. Buy everything at Infowars.com, InfoWarsStore.com. Buy the water filters, buy the seeds, buy the T-shirts, buy the videos. It's all about warfare against evil, warfare against death. We're about life, period. We're about life, period. That's what we stand for. I have a dream. Life, enlightenment, liberty, freedom. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.